Southeastern Bow Hunter Podcast.
All right, what is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Southeastern Bow Hunter Podcast. In this episode, we're going to get Mr. Zack Robb from Lone Wolf on here to pretty much shoot the breeze for a little while. We're going to talk about Lone Wolf. We're going to talk about his mustache. You don't know why that's an important thing to bring up. His name is Stache Squatch on Instagram. Just awesome dude, awesome content. And, Lone Wolf is a staple in the tree stand industry, and I'm really excited to hear some of the stuff, kind of behind the scenes about it. So before we get into it, obviously we're going to do the partners. I'm going to probably do a little bit of details on some new things with the partners. And then I want to cover some stuff that's coming up as far as what's going on with the podcast, things that we're getting involved in, things that are coming up, kind of like the shoot and whatnot. So we're going to run into that, and then we'll get started with Zack. So, all right, partners, let's go. We got Working Class Bow Hunter. Working Class just dropped a new shirt. I believe it was a collaboration with Dustin DeTio and somebody else. I don't remember, but it's really sick. I'm hoping that I can get one. And, all of their stuff that they make is great. I'm not wearing any of it right now. I've got my podcast shirt on and then a new hat from Second Amendment Outdoors, which, dude, those are some awesome dudes. So we're going to get them on the podcast here soon. But Working Class has an amazing selection of merchandise that you can use. And it's also a really good podcast. I know some good episodes that are coming. If you listen to the podcast and you know who I'm talking about, but it's going to be a really good, informative summer. Very excited about that. So head over to workingclassbowhunter.com, pick out everything in the merchandise section that you want, and then use the code SEBHP to save you 15%. Next up is going to be Odyz. So right now, recording this, and actually I think when this drops too, Joe is over in Africa. Dude goes every single year. I'm really excited to hear the stories about that when he comes on the podcast in about a month and a half, maybe 2 months. He's a killer. Joe's a killer. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He does run the Mission Whitetail podcast, so go check those guys out. And then there's some new things. I can't talk about it yet. Me and some of the guys at Odyz were talking recently, and there's some new products that are going to be dropping soon, but I'm not at liberty to talk about it yet. So once I am, I will tell you guys about it, and y'all definitely need to head over to odyzgear.com to get that new stuff. I know they're running some deals. If you want to go and get your camo now, or if you want to wait, it's perfectly fine, but go over there, go to odyzgear.com, pick out what you want, and use the code SEBH to save 15%. Next up is going to be Summit Tree Stands. Got my climber ready, got my sticks ready. Everything's ready to go. I'm really excited, man. I'm very, very excited to be using all the stuff from Summit this year. Very thankful to be working with them as I am everybody else. But Summit has been in the tree stand game for a little while, and on this podcast, yes, we're going to talk about Lone Wolf, but I'm still running with Summit, and, I don't really plan on ever switching. Things may change, who knows, but right now I'm very happy with what's going on with Summit. They've got a whole selection of accessories that you can get. They also have safety harnesses, climbers, hang-ons, and sticks. They cover all bases. The only thing they don't have is saddles. So head over to summitstands.com and use the code SEBH15 to save you 15% off as well. And that is site-wide. That is everything is on the website. So make sure to use that code for all of it. Put that code to use. You won't regret it. Next up is going to be the Bowtique. Mike has been busting his butt, man. I'm telling you, some of the stuff this dude has been making lately is just amazing. Best arrow wraps in the game as far as I'm concerned. And a really, really good dude. Really, really humble. Excuse me. Just down to earth, just awesome dude. So I like to support people like that. I hope you guys do too. So head over to the boutiquellc.com and use the code SEBHP for free shipping. That covers free shipping on custom orders, which means if you are a podcaster or you've got a YouTube channel or Instagram handle, whatever, and you want some custom wraps with your logo and a really sick design, he can do it. If you don't want to do that and you just want regular wraps, go over there anyway. Pick out some wraps from all the designs that are pre-made. I know he's got some Dale Earnhardt Senior wraps, which are sick. If I could find a good colorway for that, I'd probably build some just because. I know he's got some glow-in-the-dark wraps, some reflective wraps, oil spills, comic, just everything, man. Topo wraps. Really, he does cover everything. So definitely go support Mike. It won't go to waste, I promise. Next up is going to be Bergie Bowsmith. Bergie has been killing it lately. He is now a dealer for Truth Archery. He's a dealer for pretty much all of the big brands that we use. And, he's been putting out a lot more content on his YouTube. He's got a podcast that drops every single week. And he is also a bow wizard. All right. So Bergie's busy. So head over to bergiebowsmith.com. Look at everything he has to offer. If you want him to tune your bow, he can do that. If you want to get some products from him, he can take care of you that way. And but Bergie's just a good dude, man. Very knowledgeable. A lot of stuff that I know, I learned from him. So use the code SEBH10 to get 10% off. And go help support Bergie as well. Next up is going to be G5 Outdoors. So obviously, you guys who have been listening for a while know that I made the switch from a fixed blade company to G5 Outdoors, and I'm currently running the G5 Mega Meat. I do plan, me and Josh have been talking about going on some pig hunts on public out here by us. Also still trying to see if I can find time to go hunt with Tim Knight down there in Dublin. And then I got a buddy that lives not too far from here that's got some pigs. I know I can call him up anytime, but we do plan on doing some pig hunts this year. So if I do that, I am planning on using the Dead Meat V2 and the T2. I want to see what those do. But you don't only have to get mechanicals. You can also get fixed blades. They offer the Montec OG, which is just the original Montec. They offer the Montec M3, Striker V2, and Striker X. Those last two are replaceable blades. One is a 3-blade, one's a 4-blade, super, super sharp. I told Brian the other day, I was like, y'all really need to start putting Band-Aids in these packages, man. Cause I have cut my finger to the bone before, a few years ago shooting the Mega Meat just because I wanted to test, the practice tip that they give you and the broadhead itself, see how accurate it was. I decided to shoot the broadhead and one of my foam targets, pulled it out, tried to close the blade, slipped, and cut my finger to the bone. So a lot of fun, but that's good when it comes down to shooting deer or any game animal because it's super sharp. They sell replaceable blades for all of the mechanicals that they use and 2 of their fixed blades, like I just said. And, G5 has it covered. There's a reason why the Mega Meat has been the #1 selling broadhead since 2022. So go check them out. In the family of G5, next up is Prime Archery. If you're watching this video, you can see my Prime form back there, fully outfitted, ready to go, sighted in, all that stuff. I do have some arrow changes I'm going to be making, but it's not going to be anything drastic. But that Prime form is by far the best bow that I've shot all year. And I've shot every single, I don't want to say every single flagship model, but I have shot PSE, Hoyt, Matthews, Darton, Bowtech, Bear, God, who else? Elite. I shot all of those. And then I shot the Prime, and the Prime form outdid them all, honestly. The draw cycle super smooth. They now offer the Sherpa Light quiver over at Prime, which is a much lighter quiver. It's better quality than some of the stuff that just these other companies, not other companies, but other brands have. And I'm a little biased, but I do think that. And then they also, Prime actually just started, as far as I understand it, just started pushing out their speed mods. So with those speed mods, you can get between 7 to 8 foot a second. I plan on using them. I've heard from people that have shot it that it's not that much different as far as draw cycle goes. It is a little bit stiffer and it does dump in the valley a little bit more. But I mean, look, if that's all it takes, like as long as it's not a drastic change, I don't really see the problem. So check out Prime Archery. I mean, they have everything to offer. They have the Prime form. They've got the RVX plus 32 and 34. I know of some stuff that is coming this summer that I cannot talk about. It should probably drop in the next 2 episodes. So be on the lookout for that. I'll be sharing the crap out of it. You guys know that. Very thankful to be working with Prime and G5. And like I said before, all these partners, man, they are what helps this podcast happen. Next up is going to be dialed archery. So my dialed proof working phenomenal. Super easy to dial in. No pun intended. But super easy to sight in, super easy to adjust. I have the single post 3-pin, and it is what's crazy is the indicators. It's almost like they are preset, right? Like it's basically set up to mirror your sight tape. Like I put the sight tape on, didn't even have to touch my indicators, and everything was right. So they've really done some nice adjustments to this new proof. I'm very excited to see what they have coming out next. And so head over to dialedarchery.com. Check out whatever kind of small batch they have. If you want to get a specific type of design, whatever small batch is available right now, that is the one you can get. They also sell other small batches pretty much throughout the year, but I know they hold on to some year round. That way more people can get them. And if you don't want that and you just want something that color matches your bow, you can do that too. Tons of options. Great quality product, great quality people over there. I mean, that's extremely important. So yeah, go head over to Dialed Archery and check out what they got. Next up, Ace Hardware Social Circle. As you guys know, it's my home shop. Go there all the time. Shout out to my boys, John and Mark. And it's really self-explanatory. You want to head over there, they'll take care of you. They'll tune your bows. They'll sell you a bow. They got broadheads. They got arrows. They got everything that you need. Next up is going to be Moultrie. So Moultrie is, for those who don't know, maybe you don't listen as much, which is perfectly fine. Moultrie is the cell camera company that I have switched over to. I used to be with a different company and everything was working fine. We're still buddies. We still talk. But I had some really good stuff out of the Moultries that I already had. And then an opportunity came up, and look, I've been using Moultrie since my very first cell camera. So I have, I'm very thankful. I was going to say blessed. I'm not going to be like that, but I am thankful to be working with Moultrie. Been around for years. Awesome company. Head over to moultriemobile.com and look at all the stuff that they have to offer. They now carry bottomland pattern Edge Pros and I think Edge Pro 2s as well. And they've got multiple different camo options in those cameras. Solar panels, rechargeable packs. I saw something about some batteries. I don't know what that was about, so forgive me on that. But Moultrie is, in my opinion, top of the game, and I'm very excited to see what these cameras are able to do as far as accessibility and the honestly sending photos and stuff. It's a breeze. So please head over to moultriemobile.com and get your new cell cameras for the summer. Deer are starting to grow antlers. I've already got one that's outside the ears. Dude, I'm so excited. Next up, so this is a new one, and you guys will understand why here soon in the next coming weeks, but Bow Hunting League. Deer season's only 2.5 months away, okay? So we need to, everybody get together, go join the Bow Hunting League. I'll just say it right now. I am going to be a state sponsor for the Bow Hunting League. What that means is that me and a bunch of other dudes in Georgia that have their own outdoor stuff, we are state sponsors for it. We have and I'm getting my buddy Kyle to come on and explain all of this, but I am going to be giving definitely a hat and maybe a shirt, maybe some stickers to some sort of, me and Kyle talked and he called it a donation, but I want to get more involved in this stuff. I want to be more, vocal in the Bow Hunting League and involved in what's going on and just kind of try to, give some really good hunters some good products. So very excited about that. I think sign up start in a couple of days. If it hasn't started already when this episode drops, but yeah, big things coming from Bow Hunting League. There's some changes happening. Me and Kyle are going to go over it. I may even get Ben back on if he has the time, but yeah, keep an eye out for that. Next up, boning archery. So if you can see behind me, you see that white right up there. That is my boning alpha veins. And those veins, I have running a 5-degree left helical, which some of y'all are going to hear that and think I'm absolutely crazy. The reason I do it is at shorter distances, it's a tighter group. There's no arguing that. I've tested it. The only thing about the higher degree helical that I have had a problem with is parachuting and also slowing the arrow down at longer distances. With this vein, that doesn't happen. The way that they have it, the middle of the vein is the highest point. So the drag, when it starts, I guess, catching drag, the back of that vein is lower. And so the air comes off of it better, and it helps with stability, it helps with sound, and it helps with speed as well. I have shot these veins out to, I believe, 50 or 60 yards. I haven't seen any parachuting. I haven't seen any drag. It's been great. Nothing's falling out of the sky anymore. So go to Boning Archery if you want to get some new Alpha or Atlas veins. They have all the colors that you would need. If you want to stick to the OGs, they've got the Blazers. I know they have the Black Sky veins as well, and they also have the X veins for all of us hunters. And for you target guys, they do have a few target veins as well. So Boning Archery, use this code at checkout, SEBHP 2025. That'll save you 20%. That's hefty. That's a big savings right there. So make sure to go support Boning. Been around for 80 years. Very thankful for those guys. Next up is going to be The Chase. It's my buddy Brock's YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, all that stuff. He's got some stuff working in the works right now. I saw a rough cut of what he's working on. Dude, it's going to be just chef's kiss. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what Brock does this year. He's got some good deer on camera already. And he and I both talk about deer, and well, it's been turkeys mostly, but we will be getting on the deer subject here soon. And last but not least is going to be Odyssey, and Odyssey's trial run, or not trial run, beta version of their app, I believe drops on the same day this episode does. If I'm not mistaken, it drops the same day or the day before. Okay, so keep an eye out for that. I'm going to be sharing all of it. I'm going to be on it. I'm going to download it, all of that stuff. Make sure you guys go do that. And then a Victory Archery, definitely last but not last. I can't talk. Definitely last but not least. Victory Archery has now got the HLR arrows, which are, if you think of the RIP TKO, how it's got that weave carbon, they have tighter tolerances. So like the UV arrows that came out, I think last year, same thing, except not as tight. It's a 1.5K instead of a 1K. But from what I've been hearing, man, and what I've been seeing, those arrows are really outperforming a lot of other arrows that are somewhat similar or you know, the same size and all of that stuff. They got, and I, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I believe the 300 spine is an 8.1 GPI, which that's insane. That's super light. And if you like, you know, somewhat high FOC like I do, dude, those are the arrows to go for. So check out Victory if you want to get the new HLRs. If you don't want to run those, they've got the RIP SS, the RIP TKO, the VAP SS, the VAP TKO. And then for the guys that are running like the standard size arrows, they've got the V Force and I think the original RIPs. I'm not 100% sure on that, but go check out Victory. Been using them for years and very thankful to be partnered with those guys. I would not want to change any arrow company whatsoever. That's one of those ones that I'm like, dude, we're partnered up. I'm staying as long as you guys will have me. So yeah, that's the arrow choice that I like to use. Totally up to you guys, but I highly recommend you give Victory a shot. That being said, that is all of the partners. Let me think. So for you guys who don't know, I've had a couple of people reach out about this. We are having the 3rd annual Southeastern Bow Hunter Bow Shoot at Clybell WMA's 3D archery course. All right, I'm working with DNR. I'm going on Monday to go set up a specific layout for the course. I'm not telling you guys what it is. Nobody's really going to know until they actually see it. But it is on July 13th. That is a Sunday, and we're starting it off at 9 a.m. We've got some giveaways. One of the giveaways I can talk about now is going to be G5. I called Brian about 2 weeks ago or a week ago, and we talked about it, and he was all for it. So thank you, Brian. Thank you, G5, for being participants in the giveaway. I also have a call with Moultrie tomorrow to see if we can't get them to get involved. I'm trying to get everybody that's on here involved in the giveaway. So I'm working on a big one. You know, last year we gave away a tree stand to one of the kids that was able to hit a 12 ring at 100 yards. And what's crazy is the kid did it first try. I mean, that you should have seen my face. If you weren't there, dude, it was nuts. So there's going to be giveaways. I know Ace Hardware is part of the giveaways. I'm very excited for this. So I hope all of you guys come out. Crossbows are allowed. Traditional bows are allowed. It's just an archery event. Okay. So I don't care if you're shooting a stick bow, like the one that I just got that's 75 years old and doesn't even have a string. Obviously you need a string to shoot it, but you get my point. I don't care if you're shooting a stick bow. I don't care if you're shooting wooden arrows. I don't care if you're shooting a $2,000 Hoyt. I don't care if you're shooting a freaking $4,000 Bowtech American Folds of Honor. I probably butchered that. But my point is, I don't care what you're shooting. Just bring it. As long as it's an archery weapon or as long as it's archery equipment, dude, just bring it. I don't care. All right. Everybody's welcome. Everybody's welcome. There will be no judgment. If there is, you're getting kicked out. All right. So let me think. That's the bow shoots. If you guys have any questions, reach out to me. I'll be glad to answer them. What else? Bucks. I mentioned it earlier. Bucks are starting to grow. I've got a deer right now that is outside the ears already. That'll get your heart pumping at 5 a.m. when you get up for work and you see that. He actually, one of them daylighted today and he's already outside the ears. And I was like, dude, I'm so ready for this. So yeah, get your cameras out, get your feed out, get your mock scrapes made. Shout out to the scrape doctor. I've been using his stuff now for a couple of weeks and it's been working fantastic. Even though we've had a ton of rain, I've still had deer come and hit it. So I'm fully starting to believe in that stuff. What else, man? There's got to be something else. I know I'm forgetting some stuff. Anyway, I guess that's all the partners. That's all the announcements. Okay. So I need to tell everybody about this. If you have questions, reach out to me. the Blue River bow hunting guys are putting on, I forget what it's called. Let me look it up real quick. I think it's called Hunt to Help. So what that is it is basically like a Hunters for the Hungry program. What we're doing is we're all, like me, a couple buddies, a bunch of Brett and Dylan's buddies are coming down. They've got their sponsors coming. We are doing I think 2 or 3 day deer hunt in Tennessee. And what Dylan asked me to do is to reach out to as many people as I can. So I figured this is the best way. Hopefully you guys are still listening to this intro. I know it's kind of long and I apologize, but I haven't done one of these in a long time. Plus there's a lot going on. If you want to get involved in that Hunt to Help hunt, it is October 18th in Tennessee. I don't remember exactly where, but I can get you that information. If you want to do it, reach out to me. Okay. Let me know that you're interested and I will get you hooked up with the whole group. I know the bow hunting league is getting involved. It's going to be a big thing. So keep an eye out for that. That I think is the last announcement. So before I do this episode with Zach, I've got to tell you guys, if you don't know, and y'all know where I'm going with this, if you don't know who Jesus Christ is, please stop listening to this. Go download the Bible app and start reading the gospel. Jesus is the most amazing thing that has ever happened in my life. I struggle every day. All right. We're all sinners. We all fall short of the glory of God, but we're saved by grace through faith. And I could go into that. I'm pretty sure me and Doug talked about it a little bit on our episode, but I am so thankful that I have Jesus in my corner, because the things that I've been struggling with lately have been, it really feels like someone took a belt and wrapped it around my neck. And it only feels like that for a short moment. And the reason for that is because of Jesus. Jesus saves. He's my Lord and Savior. He is King of Kings. Okay. I will never deny that. So I want to implore all of you who are listening to just give him a chance. Okay. I understand some people have had church hurt. I understand that some people think they're too dirty for it. Jesus meets you where you're at. Okay. You don't have to go to him all clean and spiffy. He makes you clean and spiffy. You are covered by the blood when you accept him as your Lord and Savior, and you start believing, you put your faith in him. If you wake up every single day and you just say, thank you, Jesus, for another day. I pray that you're with me every day. I pray that you're with me every minute of today. Keep me from any evil that's coming. I say that every single day. And yeah, there's still struggles, but all that's supposed to be, or all that is God making us stronger for better things to come. One thing I want to talk about real quick, and then I promise we'll get started with Zach. One of my close friends is going through something really tough right now. And what I said to him, it just came out. Some things happened, some doors were closed, and he was really torn up about it. What I felt like God was telling me to tell him was those doors were closed for a reason, to save you from things that were coming along that line, down that road, right? And there's going to be new doors that are opening for you. And I don't really ever talk like this, but the reason that I'm bringing this up is because even if someone's not a believer, even if someone doesn't have their faith in Christ, if you just drop the seed, eventually that seed's either going to grow or it's not. And I'm in firm belief that whatever he's going through, it's going to be just leagues better once this is over. So, and I can only say that because of my faith in Christ. Whenever I get in a tough spot, I turn to him and everything just gets better. It's like a weight is lifted off. You feel a type of peace that you've never felt before. I'm getting very preachy on this and I apologize, but yeah, man, I just want everybody to come to Christ and get to know him, because it's the best thing that could ever happen to you. So that's my preacher moment. That's all the partners. That's all the announcements. I'm sorry for this 24-minute intro. It's probably one of the longest ones I've ever done. But thank you guys for listening, and let's get into it with Zack Robb from Lone Wolf. For you watching this podcast, you already know who this man is. If you read the title, which I hope you did, you already know who this man is. We got the Stache Squatch in here today. Mr. Zack Robb from Lone Wolf Custom Gear. Dude, before we even dive into anything, I said it about 2 or 3 times before we started recording that the stash is on point. I think I got to say you and Doug from Working Class have the best 2 mustaches in the entire industry. So
I'll take that.
I'm jealous. I wish I could pull that off. I really do. It gives me 1990s like Metallica's. Well,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's like James Hetfield in the 90s. I love it. But what's up, dude? What you been getting into?
Well, not a whole lot on the deer side yet, but certainly trying to catch up on some stuff around the house, getting in better shape, trying to catch some fish here and there, and start thinking about gear mods and stuff like that for this upcoming season. Haven't really even started messing with my bow, but so much, but that's all in the mind. It'll be gearing up like right now.
Oh
So
yeah.
now is pretty much the time to start shifting gears back to that thing we all crave.
Yeah. Well, seeing what's behind you, I think you know what you're doing.
I've
But
had I've had some years with some success, so
yeah.
it's definitely fueled a fire, and I love it. And it's if I had to pick one thing as a hobby, I'm taking chasing deer.
See, thank you. You know how many arguments I've had with my buddies that are they're like, "Oh man, you need to go duck hunting." I promise you, when you kill a duck, you're never gonna think about deer. I'm like, you obviously don't know me that well. And then other friends
Yeah,
of mine are like, "Man, you need to go turkey hunting because turkey hunting's so much better. You're not just sitting around." And I'm like, dude, they all look the same. There's something about deer, like the two deer behind you, they don't look anything alike, and that's
that's right.
interesting.
Yep. They're all different, and they all act different.
Hmm.
They all should be treated pretty much different,
Yeah.
um, and that's the challenge.
Yeah, I've definitely been struggling to figure out how to treat these deer differently because I run it like beginning of season, because in Georgia we can bait, right? And I've talked about this a few times, but like you can get these deer on a pattern where the first 2 weeks of season, if you're not there, they will be. And if you're there, sometimes they will be too. Like you
Yep.
can really figure out like I've gone on Spartan Forge before and I have looked at past history of, their GPS movement that they have.
Yep.
And it it's pretty close to accurate. Like the deer back here that I killed, has like
Yep.
there,
It's
um,
hard.
yeah, somewhere back here. That's how I killed him. Was following middle of summer. Was looking at like, okay, what was the wind doing? What was the pressure like when these cold fronts and storms came through? Was he there? And then first cold front we had in September, dude, he showed up and it all came together. So that sort of
Yeah.
thing, like I preach it to my buddies all the time because I run cameras year round, and they're like, dude,
Right.
why are you doing that? I'm like, because man, if you can figure out what they're doing, if you can see what they're doing in February and sort of track it, and then now we're in just about to be in June and they're still doing the same thing, they're probably gonna do the same thing in September. And then once October hits towards the latter of that month, then they're gonna start doing their switch. And they all think I'm crazy, but I've got camera data to prove it. So
Yeah. This one here, I I didn't find him. I didn't get this property until late August. I actually had lost permission. I was chasing this deer for a couple of years. I actually was kind of letting him grow. Um, I had a chance to shoot him, but I had shot a deer 10 yards in front of him when he had this rack. And then the next year, I lost permission in August. So I was devastated because he wasn't a normal deer. He was a freak. So the one side
yo,
was pretty wild. And like I said, I'd been watching him since he was a spike. He had like three spikes coming out of this side. So it was very identifiable, and he blew up. I got some awesome velvet pictures, but that was pretty much the end of that. So I got permission on this piece in August after losing that. Um, Jumped him out of his bed, and right then and there, I found his bed. Kind of got a glance at how maybe he was using it, and a travel corridor going to it. It's pretty simple property. Um, and then I set up a mock scrape kind of just off of his path and used that data from then until September,
mhm.
or October rather, to put together some kind of play as to what he was doing in that area and why. The why is the biggest part,
Yeah.
because then um, how you need to access and how you need to treat that spot to get there to beat him. But yeah, that was like textbook. I actually messed up. I could have shot him earlier, but I ended up killing him October 15th. So that was like absolute textbook. Just it worked out to a T right then and there. Wrote that down. I was like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah.
it hasn't been that way since. So it's been a little trickier. That was a piece kind of at the base of the mountain, and ever since then, I've been predominantly actually up in the legitimate mountains,
Where are you
which I
at?
have found. I'm in Central Virginia, kind of at
Okay,
the eastern edge of the mountainous region.
got it.
So I'm hunting a full blown mountain out here. A lot of people around here call these hills mountains, but there's real mountains too.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, ever since then, man, it's been a little different. The mountains are a little more sporadic. They got a much larger territory because they're not confined to like certain blocks of timber. The whole mountain is timber, so they
yeah,
got no reason to be in any one given spot. So as far as making a pattern that I can really go by, especially a day-to-day pattern, that hasn't been the case for me. I'm not saying it can't be done.
yeah.
But obviously he's got spots that he's coming back to. So you got to kind of play your cards and try to be ahead of the game and be in that spot when he gets there.
Yeah, those mountain deer, man, they're totally different from what I've seen around here. Because here, I mean, we have ridges, we have hills, creek bottoms, stuff like that. I mean, shoot, man, last summer, I think it was, I put a camera out on public, and me and my buddy Josh, for whatever reason, decided, hey, we're on top of a ridge. Let's go down into the ridge, like into the little creek bottom and see what we can find. Going down was easy. Coming back up, and I'm not in terrible shape, right? But like
Yep.
going skateboarding for 10 years, my knees, I don't have any anymore. And and going up that hill, it was brutal. And we actually are planning on going to Tennessee this year with the Blue River bow hunting guys to do like I was talking about it in the intro, but it's like a hunt to help thing, kind of like Hunters for the Hungry.
Yeah,
And
cool.
I was talking with Dylan, and he's like, yeah, dude, there's where we're at, there's mountains. It's just the way that it is. And I'm like, okay, guess it's time to, try to really quit vaping and try to stop eating so bad. Like, I was planning on going to Colorado in a few years, and I thought I had time, but I've only got what, 5-6 months now. So
Well,
it'll be
so
fun.
it's me and Chris Wiest from Pennsylvania were talking about this. He makes me look pretty small, but he's a big dude and big power lifter in shape. And this year I've made a big push for kind of a different side of fitness than I've done in the past. More body weight conditioning and stuff like the Murph. I'm sure you've heard of, but he was like, well, man, this fall is going to be a breeze for you, isn't it? I said, well, it's never stopped me before. Right.
Yeah.
So like, even at my worst shape, I still did what I needed to do. So that's up here, but yeah, it will be a lot easier. I'm confident. Legs won't be as sore. I'll be able to move quicker.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So it's worth training for. I mean, we call it training for a
Yeah.
reason. You're training for something, but yeah, I mean, my other good buddy Pope, he jokes because he doesn't lift at all. He
Yeah.
does whatever he wants, and he'll still get out there and get wherever he needs to get to. Also,
Yeah. I ran into him at TAC in Tennessee,
mm-hmm.
and I should have texted him and been like, hey, dude, how'd you do? Because where we were, man, I almost fell off of a cliff. Like, that's literally how bad it got, because it was wet and it's like a 80-foot drop or whatever. And I think they went on the prime course or something, didn't they?
I don't know.
People, whatever course they went on, I know it was one of the tough ones. And I kept asking around. I'm like, so which course is the worst? Because we had to get lacrosse because we signed up late. And they're like, yeah, Sitka and Prime are the two toughest. And I was like, well, why? And they're like, because it's 500 yards between each target, and you're walking up a mountain, down a mountain, up another mountain the whole time. So
yep.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I mean, I really like the fitness side of stuff. I've really been looking into more because I've watched a lot of Cam Hanes stuff, and when I first started watching his content, I really thought, I was like, man, if I want to go kill elk, do I really have to run 200 miles in the mountains up in Oregon? And then I talked to, some people on here and talk about elk hunting, and they're no Cam Hanes by any means. And I'm like, okay, I could still do it, but there's a reason.
We can do it.
Yeah. Like, there's a reason he's 60 years old and can run up these mountains like a billy goat, because he trains nonstop. So the training aspect of things, yeah, I don't like, I've had times where I'll drag a deer out and it's only 100 yards and I'm heaving. And I'm just like, dude, it's flat ground. Like, what's going on here? So I don't know. You guys might inspire me to actually start really putting in the effort to, get in better shape because I'm only 30. I ain't that old yet.
Yeah,
My
me
knees
too.
might hurt,
30.
but you're 30. Well,
30.
hey, look
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
that. Nice.
Yeah, I've had a big fitness journey. I got pretty thick there for a while, and then tore 2 pecs in 2 years. You only
Oh
get
my
two,
God.
so kind of shifted
How'd you
from
do that?
powerlifting to, well, the one was benching, and then the other I was doing dips actually, but yeah, just
Huh.
going a little too hard, a little too fast, I guess, and kind of taught me a lot about nutrition. And from there, it's just keep pushing myself into things that didn't really care about before, like running and Cam Hanes stuff.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because that's I don't know. I have a competitive mindset for pretty much everything, but I just feel like my mind shifted from I want to lift the heaviest crap I can to what's going to make me a better bow hunter, and that's
Yep.
honestly the end of it. And all this stuff like the push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, running, that all translates to everyday life very well. So it's never a bad thing.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the fitness side of that stuff is just all mental. Like when the year turned
A
over,
lot.
or actually a little bit before, my wife started hitting the gym again because she got a little too big in her mind. I didn't really care. I was like, hey, you still look good.
Right.
If you want to lose it, whatever. I'm not going to complain. And I went to the gym with her one time. And like when I go to the gym, dude, it's all business, right? Like I'm gonna pop my earbuds in. I'm gonna put on some like super heavy metal or something, and I'm just gonna put my head down and focus on what I'm doing. And she's like, why aren't you talking to us? And I'm like, because I'm not here to chit chat. Like if we're gonna work out, we're gonna work out, right?
Right.
And
Right.
she didn't want me to come back because it wasn't fun. So I don't know. She's got this whole thing. Like I've told her before, and I know this is a hunting podcast, and here we are talking about wife problems, I guess. But um, I told her before, I was like, if I commit to the gym, I was like, I'm going to commit to it, and I'm gonna lose, the dad bod that I've gained, right? And dude, her face sunk. She's like, but I don't want you to lose that. She's like, I like you having a little bit of a belly. It's comfortable. I don't want to be laying on a washboard. I'm like, well, I don't think I'd get to that point, right?
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, I was like, it's easy, easy. Let me just lose like 10 pounds. But
Yeah.
her argument was, I just want your arms to be bigger, and that's it. And I'm like, well, I could pull up this photo I saw of this guy who's triceps and his what's this muscle called here again? I don't know why I can't remember what it's called.
Your bicep.
Bicep. That's what it was.
Yeah.
um, there's this dude who only I think worked that stuff out, and then he also got injections, right? So it's like the size of a watermelon. I was like, if you want me to walk around like that, I can. I was like, but then you won't be able to, I will barely be able to move my arms. It was a whole
man.
thing, but yeah, the fitness side, dude, especially in Georgia, we have, and this isn't knocking anyone that's like this, right? But the typical stereotype of a whitetail hunter is, oh, let me sit in my tree stand all day, pull out my Cheez-Its and my little Debbie, and that's it, And like, if people really knew, I mean, yes, there are guys like that. I know a few of them, but the majority of guys that hunt whitetails, I feel like, are starting to get more into fitness because we're having to go further back.
Yeah.
Like
Been
I
a
have
big
about 2
movement.
miles in public. Like that's a
Yep.
long distance. So I don't know. But so all right, I want to talk, since we're talking fitness, before we get into the lone wolf stuff, I want to talk about the road show. Can you give me and the listeners all the details on that and like what we can expect at the event?
Yeah. So the road show was Cody DeQuista's baby, really. And he's been going to these trade shows for his whole life, working for Lone Wolf and some various other companies. But, it's all in typically an arena style building, confined space. You got limited hearing, limited everything. You can barely get your hands on the products even. And more than that, it's really all business in the booth. So the road show itself was kind of born to, change that. and it's really the first of its kind, and it's multifaceted. So not only is it a place where you can go and get your hands on the gear and actually try it on trees yourself, or talk to guys like myself. What am I doing for mods? I'll have my setup at all of them, and you can see what I've done. And you get to see how these guys that use this, I wouldn't say professionally, but we're supposed to be well versed in it, right?
Yeah.
So you get to see how we do it, as opposed to try to figure it out through videos or Facebook or whatever, and get it hands on and talk to us and figure out, a system that works best for you. So that's kind of the gear side. Then there's also, the deer side. So the speakers are all somewhat localized. So there's a show in Georgia, there's a show in Virginia, there's a show in Ohio / Pennsylvania, and then the Iowa show. So I'll be going to pretty much all the East Coast ones. I haven't been to Ohio, but there's a lot of similar terrain features up there, and some new faces, and that'll be good to see everybody. But in the past, it's been Pennsylvania, so kind of farm, mountains. So I get pulled for that, as well as a bunch of other guys from Pennsylvania, Maryland. I think we may have had some like North Pennsylvania, almost New York, and then down your way we'll have guys like Pope, Jay Maxwell, Benjamin Simon. Sure, I'm missing a few, but it's going to be all localized towards those areas, and you get to ask people, what they do to find the consistent success that they have been having, and not just in a you get to ask one question, but it's almost like a one-on-one podcast like this, but it's hanging out, and you get to talk, and that side of it's been really cool. And other brands like Hoyt and Vortex and First Form, there's a lot of big brands that come with us and also have all their products to show that you can try firsthand. I didn't know the difference between the Vortex Razor UHDs to the Diamondbacks until I was actually standing in a field and had both. I was super happy with my Diamondbacks until I saw through those razors. Just being inside of Cabela's or something doesn't do that. And then the best part is we get the relay, which is it's a fitness oriented relay. And that leads into all these big giveaways. I'll do some archery challenges, the fitness relays, and then we get to have a party afterwards with everybody that attends. So it's a lot more than just a sales thing.
Yeah,
it's a lot more than just showing products. It's just a really good time for a lot of like-minded people.
Yeah, it sounds to me like a more personal, I guess, active version of like a TAC. Like if you took TAC and ATA, but then also threw in some fitness in that, it's kind of what it sounds like to me, but also more personal, because I mean, getting to hang out with dudes that are consistent big buck killers is extremely important. Like I'm thankful enough to be able to say, like, if I needed to call Jay and had a question about, a deer, since he lives 20 minutes from me, I could be like, hey, dude, this is what I'm working with. What do you think? What do I need to do? And he'll lay it all out, but not a lot of people have that. So to take a day and actually be able to sit down, it kind of, honestly, the way you describe it and from the photos that I've seen, it kind of reminds me of like a deer camp, but not like a hunting camp. It's like a legitimate deer summer camp. That's what it sounds like.
Pretty much.
So I'm gonna do my best to come out there, but if in the relay, since it's fitness oriented, if I either pass out, throw up, or just don't do well, I apologize.
Hey, I haven't seen anybody pass out, but I've definitely seen the others.
Well, I mean, it's in August, so
yeah, it's gonna be hot. But you know what? This is what I was telling some of the guys. It's like, oh yeah, it's gonna be hot. But what would I be doing on a Saturday in August if I had nothing else to do? I'd be out fishing in the center of a lake or scouting up in the mountain. I'm gonna be out there sweating my balls off anyway. So hey, come on out and try and win something.
Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna do my best to get out there. I mean, how long has the road show been going on? Because I know I've heard Cody talk about it, but to me it sounded just like and actually I might be thinking of the Mobile Hunters Roadshow or Mobile Hunters Expo or something like that. I might be mixing some
Yeah,
stuff
that
up.
the expo. So the expo started, I think, the year after the road show. So yeah, the road show. I think this is year 5,
Wow.
even, and it started. Yeah, actually, some of the first stops were big hits, but either way, they were a little smaller than they are now, and just so like organic and awesome.
Yeah.
Um, one of the first Virginia one was held at Buddy and one of the guys that really helps put on the road show at his parents' house in the mountains of Virginia, and it was just gorgeous. And they cooked a barbecue meal for everybody, and it was an awesome time. One of my favorites to date.
Huh.
So,
That's cool.
but it's been just like a small community of all like-minded people coming from.
Yeah.
We've had people drive like 14 hours to these things.
Good Lord.
So it's been really cool.
Dude, I'm excited. I'm gonna have to dive deeper in the schedule and see if I can't swing it. So all right, I want to change gears a little bit and I want to dive deep into the Lone Wolf custom gear stuff. Now, before we do that, it is related to this. With Lone Wolf, my mind immediately goes to mobile hunting. So is that kind of like the thing that all of you guys do? Or do some of y'all go and have preset stands? I know
So
Cody's a mobile hunter for sure, but
yeah, I mean, most of us are doing some extent of mobile hunting. Even the guys with farms, they may have, like, we got the new cast line that just dropped. I got one here, but they are set up for either your entry level mobile rig or presets, and either way, they're going to be perfect for that. When the DeQuisto series came out, this sucker right here is like 5.5, 6 pounds, right? So that thing weighs nothing.
yeah.
And when I got my hands on one of those setups, which, full clarity, I paid full price. I didn't work for these guys. I'd buy them. I'd do it all over again. It single-handedly, I mean, I know a game changer is like a cringy word, but it single-handedly changed my way that I hunted. I, like probably you and pretty much everyone on the East and Southeast, I had a Summit Viper, and it's a great stand, but super bulky. Getting it through thick, nasty timber is a pain. And my trees were really limited because I had to find a nice poplar.
Yeah.
When you're trying to be in an oak area, which there's a lot of good oaks too, but my mind changed from hunting for the right tree to just hunting the deer.
Yeah.
Because I can get these in anything. So that in itself was just, it leveled me up instantly.
Yeah.
It took some practice, but ever since getting the hang of it, I'll never go back.
Yeah. So I mean, like for someone who's not really a mobile hunter, or but wants to get into it, because like I don't consider myself a mobile hunter unless I'm on public, and
Yeah.
I've been working with Summit now for like 3 years, and so I've got their new climber that just came out, or I say just came out, it came out like a year ago, and that one, and I'm not trying to make a comparison, I'm just giving you my experience on it, but I did sort of become, in a sense, more mobile once I got that, because it was like, all right, they've made this a little easier to get on, but I still have to look for a right tree. And like, I've only ever hunted out of a climber and a ground blind, right? Like this year's my first year doing a hang on and sticks.
Yeah.
I'm kind of behind the ball a little because I haven't even started practicing, but I feel like being mobile is really kind of the way to go. Because there's been multiple times, dude, that I'll go hunt the public by my house and I'll either walk in the dark or I'll do some scouting. And I'm like, all right, this is where I need to be. Picked out that tree, no problem. And then you go in there and you get up in the tree and you look around and you're like, dang, I really don't have as much cover as I thought. Or you can see the lines, right? Like you can see the trails and you can see everything. And it's like, dang it, dude, but you're already up there. and it's not exactly the quietest way to get in. And so yeah, I'm like I said, I don't claim to be a mobile hunter. I'm public. I kind of don't have a choice, but it's been interesting to me, especially now having a hang on and everything. I mean, what's the best way for a guy to get started in that as far as like becoming a mobile hunter?
Well, so not yet, but pretty soon here I'll be putting out tech tips of the week on Lone Wolf's page. So a lot of those are, not the obvious things. Like, what are the little steps that me or some of the other guys take that makes our system so much more fluent than just going out there and trying to fling a strap around a tree. And it can be a nightmare if you do it wrong, but if you do everything to help yourself be smooth with it, they're super easy. But I mean, in my journey, like when I started with my climber, I remember seeing a bunch of deer. I don't necessarily remember, having a bunch of close encounters with nice bucks or anything, but I was also new to hunting. But I do remember like a lot of them would end up being out of range because I had to pick the right tree that I could get into. Then I moved to a farm where I had a lot of opportunities at better class deer like that one. And I started setting up presets and, oh man, that's nice. I get to wake up hungover and grab some coffee and walk in, and it sounded great. And it was cool. But I noticed, you sit 4 or 5 stands multiple times, the number of encounters would go down substantially. So that kind of racked my brain. And you get the inception from TV and all, like all these lone wolf ads kept popping up. Everybody that was killing mega deer was sponsored by Lone Wolf.
I think the good Lord is trying to tell you something.
Hey man, it all worked out, right? And for real, like it was all I paid attention. It's like Hoyt bows and Lone Wolf tree stands. All the best of the best TV shows were shooting those.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting a buddy had a Lone Wolf hand climber for like $100. I bought it, and it's not quite like the new climber.
Is that the OG one?
No, this is the new one.
Oh, okay. But the hand climber was the OG, right?
The hand climber was the OG.
Yeah,
and it's still packed down pretty similar to this. Just a couple more bungees and whatnot. But going from a big bulky Summit to something like that, I was like, whoa, this is sweet. And it was lighter, it was more compact. I always hunt thick stuff, so that in itself was super nice. Then I really wanted to get a hang on, so I got a hang on. Very first hunt with the hang on. Is killed this deer, which he's just kind of funky.
Dude, yeah, that's a cool looking rack. Got crab claws on there.
Yeah, that's the hunt that I was talking about. The other buck was 10 yards behind him, but my daughter was 6 weeks old, so I took this one. I thought that was pretty cool. And so then that's kind of good odds. 1 hunt, 1 kill with the new hang on. It's like, okay. And things started clicking with that, and we had a great season that year. From there, I saw the new DeQuisto series stuff, and I knew right then and there it solved all the systematic issues that I saw with the original Lone Wolves, which are great for presets. They're great for mobile, but these were these were made for mobile. And once I got that in my hands, it just never. The thing about it is, if you have presets, or even you leave a climber wrapped around the base of a tree. I know everybody does that. I'll get to it. Yeah.
I got
22 climbers, and they're all around bases of trees all over the farm. You want to go back to that spot because it's already there. Whereas when I'm carrying my 0.5 or whatever it is in, and I'm visually reading the woods as I go in every time, there's no lazy bird on my left shoulder that's saying, hey, you got to stand 40 yards away. Why don't you just go sit that? I'm going to sit where I feel most confident at that time.
Yeah.
And that has put me in the game a lot. Like, this year I learned something every year. Keep always learning. Statistically, the past several years in the mountain, I typically get like, with everything going on in life, I'll get like one solid encounter, whether I capitalize or not. 2 years ago was the buck and the bear in the same sit. Before that, I think I whiffed on one. And before that, every year is something different. But this year I had 3 opportunities and encounters. 2 of them were megas. One I decided to pass because of having an earn a buck system. And I had just had my encounter with a mega. So, and this is at really close range, in the center of a thicket. And it's just, the more years you get with this system and staying, in my opinion, staying mobile, but at the same time, there's a time to sit in a spot.
Mm-hmm.
So there's knowing the difference, but also just, you have no excuse not to sit where you think you need to sit. Yeah. And that to me was huge, really.
I mean, that my biggest thing, and the reason I wanted to switch from a climber to a hang on was that, like you said it earlier, you're hauling a climber in, you're trying to get somewhere thick. And like, dude, I've literally walked in and heard my climber clanging as I'm walking. Every step. It's just that little ting, ting. And I'm just like, dude, that's not a normal sound. Like if a deer hears that, it's over. And I know with a hang on, even though I've never hunted out of one, I know that it's quieter than that. Like I've climbed a few, I've had buddies that have had some.
Right.
I almost fell out of a tree last summer at this spot me and my buddy hunt, where he's got a hang on and he's got tree spikes going up to it. And he was like, oh man, you're fine. Try and get up there. And I'm like, okay, I have no strap. There's no safety line, nothing. And I'm just monkeying my way up this tree. I made it about halfway and I was like, yeah, dude, because he's, 6'3", I'm 5'8". So the spacing is a little bit different. And I just looked down. I was like, I can't even, how do you get to this? He's like, oh, it's a little sketchy, but you can do it. I'm like, no, I'm 20 foot up. I'm not doing that. Not in July. And so I then start walking my way down and I almost slip. Like my foot almost slips off the spike. And it was one of those moments where I'm like, do I really want to use a hang on? But then, you kind of realize like, all right, well, if you use updated equipment, you'll have no problem. And so the mobile side of things makes more sense to me because you can choose where you want to go and you can do it quieter. And if that stand weighs like 5 pounds, dude, that's nothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't have any sticks right here, but I've only been using the past couple of years. Cody's been putting a bug in my ear. I've only been using 2 sticks. I normally get anywhere from 8 to 12 feet, and that really puts you in that kind of lower canopy of cover. And that has also been, a change in my thought process. I always used to try to get 22 feet or something and be up in the sky. Mm-hmm. Not only does that make your shot harder, but you're actually skylined a lot more. Yep. It's kind of like if in your peripherals you saw something massive moving and you looked up and you see, nothing but sky behind this blob that's moving around, that would be pretty scary too. But if you're tucked away in some branches, it's a lot harder to see that than you think. So like this year I had a 140-inch 10 that's the one I passed, which I feel stupid now, but
no judgment.
But at the time it was a good idea at the time.
Yeah.
But he was 4 yards away and I was 4 feet in the air. Like I was right there. I got it all on tape, and that was super cool. The past 3 seasons doing this, I've gotten, to where I like to be able to hear him breathing damn near. That's how close I've been getting. So
God dang.
It's pretty exciting to get in the game like that.
So I'm so glad you brought this up because I don't remember if it was Cody or Andre, but one of them was talking about this method of not.
It's Cody.
Cody. See, okay. I thought it was Cody, but I wasn't sure. But yeah, dude, I heard him talk about that on some podcast, and I was just like, because I was always so afraid of heights. Like, no joke, dude. I almost fell out of a tree. Okay, so it's the first time. I've almost done it twice, but the first time, the first time was just pure ignorance. It was my first year hunting. I had no idea what I was doing, and I'm climbing up this tree. My climber's got nothing attached, attaching both bottom and top piece.
Right.
And I get up there, hunt, don't see anything, go to come down, and literally my my right foot slipped out as I was going down. And so now I'm hanging on to it. I have no safety harness. I've got no tether strap connecting the pieces. And I'm just like, this is why I don't hunt out of a tree stand much, because what am I supposed to do? Right.
Right.
And so it took me a few years to get over that. And then I hear Cody talking about, yeah, man, I'm getting up like 8, 10, 12 foot, 16 sometimes at the most, or something like that. And I'm like, I'm kicking myself because I'm like, dude,
Yep.
it took me this long to get over my fear of heights. And
That's it's a new concept. I mean, maybe it's not new, right?
yeah,
but
it's coming
every
to the light
road show,
now.
that's a hot debate. And people always tell us, one of my favorite sound bites from one of the road shows is Cody, and he's standing there and he's like, you guys always tell me that, we go way up high in the tree, and the deer here, they look up.
Mm-hmm.
Cody says, well, why would I want to be where they're looking then? Like why would I want to be high if you're telling me that they walk through the woods looking high in the trees? Get out of that mindset and try it. If it doesn't work for you, then it doesn't work. Movement is still key. So if you're a fidgeter, you're not going to get away with it. But if you're able to sit still, you're broken up by cover. If nothing else, the lower canopy gives you a much better backdrop. And it works, man. The buddy Abram Dean, he's a Tennessee guy. He'll be at the Georgia Road Show too, I think. He has a video on whitetail addictions where I want to say his platform was like 4 inches off the ground. I mean, he's essentially sitting in a briar patch. He could have been sitting on a bucket or something, but it's what he had. He had a stand with him, so he strapped it there to give him something to sit on. And he shot a hammer walking in a creek bed. It's super cool. These things, it's not about necessarily the height. It's about being in the right spot. Which these are equipped to do it all.
So what are you looking for? Say like this year, now that I've got the opportunity or got the equipment to do it this way, what do I need to be looking for? Because one of my spots is so thick, especially now with this green up we've had.
Oh,
dude,
yeah.
I went back there a couple of weeks ago and I'm like, I don't even see how I'm going to see anything coming because it's so thick.
Right.
So like,
first and foremost, you do need a shooting lane. So if you're hunting, a feeding area like an oak flat, where you don't necessarily know where they're coming, things get a little tricky. You kind of need to be on the edge of something where you got cover behind you and you're able to scan and shoot out. But a lot of times we are hunting, trails and thickets. So you really kind of have to be close up on them.
Yeah.
And I want, if nothing else, stuff kind of growing out behind me. But I also really like it if there's something kind of coming out in front of me, where it's breaking me up from either direction. Ideally, if they're going to come from this way, I got something here and I can get fully drawn behind that as he steps out. I also really like, in many scenarios, a tree that has like a lower small branch, and I'll have my platform kind of just up above it, where I can shoot through these branches and see out above it and beyond it. And again, that's only 10, 12 feet high. It's not a 20-foot scenario. Yeah. Forked trees are awesome. And it's not uncommon for us to jam other branches in behind our tree strap and make cover ourselves either.
Okay. Yeah, that's something I really
brush yourself in.
Is like getting branches and stuff, and like you just said, brushing yourself in where you're at. Because what I'm thinking of this one spot. I'll tell you, I know the listeners know this, but like we have this one spot that last year had 8 shooter bucks on it. And I've never hunted anything like that. Right.
Yeah.
So it was a learning process, but in there, it's that same thick spot. It's pretty much like one thicket to my left, a thicket to the right, just all kind of young. I mean, there's big, oaks and pines and whatnot, but it's mostly just small saplings that have kind of grown in together. And these deer use it as like, now I do feed there because I know the neighbors feed, I know the people across the street feed, like you kind of have to, unfortunately. But they're using it as pretty much a highway. And
Mhm.
what I've looked at, because all I had was a climber last year, is I had to pick a tree that would have worked for it. But I know if I know where the direction they're coming from, I'm thinking of this one tree we have the hang on now. We've kind of been talking about swapping that out with my new one because it's a little bit older, putting the sticks up and sort of having a preset, right? But now what I'm thinking, talking about this, is maybe when I go back, look around and be like, okay, what tree can I get, 10 foot up, maybe 12, 8, wherever I need to do it. Um, I'm trying to envision like where to do it because I do know of one tree, but it's pretty much right where these deer are walking through. And that low, I don't think them
So
walking under me would work.
that comes into more of a scent discussion
Mm-hmm.
as to where the thermals and wind are pulling your scent. So my wind in the mountains typically, it's the least accountable thing. Like I can't count on it being consistent, and I damn sure can't count on it matching a forecast.
Yeah.
So what I try to do is set myself up, and I'm constantly throwing milkweed so that when that deer walks that trail, I know, A, if it's blowing and I'm good,
Mm-hmm.
and B, if it's blowing towards the trail, where do I need to stop him and get an arrow in before it meets his nose?
Yeah.
But you definitely want to play into account when you're setting up, you know, you want to try to stack the odds in your favor the best you can with
Yeah.
the thermals is really the biggest thing I count on. Because like I said, the wind swirls, but if I have a consistent wind, I'll definitely use that to my advantage.
Okay. So maybe what I'll do, if you're okay with this, is next time I go, because we've had nothing but rain like this entire week. It's just been wet.
Us too.
I haven't been able to go out at all. But next week I am planning on going back over there and sort of doing some legitimate scouting this time. Not, I mean, I don't necessarily have to because with food there, I mean, there's no food there now, and I still had one of the target bucks daylight today. But it
Right.
doesn't hurt. But scouting out for like, okay, where's the main trail from? Like, where are they coming from? Where are they going to? Need to make a mock scrape, and then for sure looking at what kind of tree that I want to do. So if it's cool with you, what I might do is take a video of like where the food's at, right? And then do a full 360 and be like, okay, what do you see? Where would you pick out? You know?
Yeah.
Because it is
So
hard.
is
Like
it,
I don't really know what I'm looking for. I know you've explained it, but it's
I would almost stay away from the food. I mean, if the right tree is there, then that's great. But if you can narrow down the travel area that he's using, I would prefer to be on that travel than on the food.
yeah,
For a couple of reasons. One of which, these deer, at least around here, they don't always, come out into the open feeding areas in daylight. They're gonna kind of hang back in the thick.
yeah,
So if you can work that trail back and find a thick area where he's gonna hang up or walk by you, you're much better off, in my opinion. And the feeding areas, they tend to not stick. They could meander 35 yards away, 40 yards away, whereas a trail through, briars and nasty woods, they're going to stick in that trail.
mm-hmm.
So you might see less, but if
Yeah,
you're after the right one, that's when it'll pay off. In
okay,
my opinion,
yeah,
But also, if you're on if you're talking about a corn pile or something for your food source right now, you could get 30 deer out there. That's 30 sets of eyes watching you from that spot. So I would
Yeah.
rather be, and we all know we've all had it happen where you got the buck of your dreams right there, and a stupid spike blows it for you. It's like, that's how it goes. So that's kind of two things I would think about before I even see it.
Okay. Yeah, so the dude that hunted there, my buddy who got me permission to hunt there, he's been hunting there for, gosh, man, it's got to be like 5-10 years now. And so he's learned it really well, and he's told me where they come from. It's 100% right. I actually told him some stuff I saw last year he'd never seen before, because he doesn't really hunt it late season. That's the only time I hunted it. So early season, where he is, when he's usually there, and like we're gonna alternate and do the whole thing. But what he told me is that he used to feed, because it's a really small property, like really small. It's probably 3 acres total. Most of it is like a church's field that we can't even hunt.
Yeah.
So we're in this one little strip that's got 2 big blocks on both sides. It's got a marsh on the backside, and then the church is behind us. So they're using this one strip to kind of go between both big blocks. And what he did is he found out that where he was feeding the first time, yeah, they were going to it, but they were skirting around it. So then he moved the food to pretty much on their trail, if not right next to it. So that's the only reason we're even still feeding right there. So I do know that. Go ahead.
On that parcel size, you're kind of limited as well.
Exactly.
But I would still say the tactic applies. I would get where you have a shot. Maybe not the best shot at all of it, but at least some cover for sure.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't want to get blown out of there.
Yeah, I actually had to snort wheeze at a deer last year. You ever had to do that to get out of the tree?
No, I sometimes I'm not as patient as I should be, and probably should hang in there or do something to hang around a little longer. But no, that's funny.
This buck showed up, and it was one of the shooter bucks. Right now, this dude, we had a Mexican standoff for like 30 minutes, and it was the evening. He comes in at 25 yards, but it's so thick. I had a shooting lane to my left with food there. And this might play into what you were saying before, but the food was there. I had a young buck on it. And then I look up and see this 10-point coming down. And I'm like, oh, dude, like I've got my bow off the hanger. I'm sitting there ready. The young guy kind of looks up, sees me a little bit, but he doesn't know what I am. So he's just going back to it. Never flagged, never acted weird or nothing. This 10-point comes walking in, gets to 25 yards. And instead of going to his right, which is my left, he goes to his left. And now he's right there. I can see his vitals, but it's getting so dark I can't see it.
Yep.
And literally, dude, watched him the entire time, and I had to snort wheeze at him to get down, because I'm like, I don't want him to know that I'm here. So sun's down, it's pitch black, I can't see anything, and all I see is the white of his belly. And I'm like, all right, I don't want to do coyotes because there's coyotes in the area. I'm not going to do an owl because that's not going to scare him. I'm like, what can I do? And so I just was like, and he gone. Came back the next day, but unfortunately I couldn't hunt then. So that's why I was asking, because like I don't know if that's something that's gonna hurt. I doubt Andre or Cody would probably do that. So
no, I think a lot. That's something I wouldn't worry too much about, honestly.
Okay.
I mean, you've heard it from Andre, and I'll tell you right here, I jumped that one out of his bed and killed him 10 minutes later. So it's all about temperament. But especially kind of halfway natural noises, I don't think they care.
Okay. Well, like I said, he did come back. I never got a shot on him again, but new spot, new deer, learning them. It was rough, but if I can, I want to start going down the rabbit hole of lone wolf. Like what's the new stuff that's come out? I've seen some like hybrid stuff. The new climber to me looks kind of like a hybrid hang-on climber deal. I mean, what's the thing everybody needs to know about this new stuff and the older stuff?
The crazy thing When Lone Wolf came back with Lone Wolf Custom Gears lineup in 2019, there was one stand. Couldn't keep them in stock, couldn't keep up. And it's been an awesome stand, the 1.0. I think Dad has mine right now, but it's kind of your average size, the same as the old Assault, which is 27 by 19. From there, Cody really wanted to go with a smaller one. That's the 0.5. So that got reduced to 22 by 16, 21 by 16. It's pretty small, but I hunt out of it. And then everybody wanted an in-between stand. So there became a stand for in-between. They wanted a stand that was bigger. So they made a bigger stand. They made a saddle stand. They made a bigger saddle stand. Then this hybrid saddle stand that came out last year, that was a big hit. So it's got a seat post and a seat that you can fold up and put your knees against, and a much larger platform. So its weight's going to be comparable to a 0.5. It's going to, act similarly to a 0.5, but there's no cables. So that's a big deal if you wanted a hybrid platform that's big enough that you could turn around and sit and rest your legs. The Ranger Hybrid is a badass spot for that. If you wanted, I hybrid hunt out of a 0.5, but I'm normally hunting it like a tree stand, sitting facing away. So there's kind of options there. And then the Climber came out last year. That was a huge hit. We're looking at 12 pounds total, and it folds up to 1 7/8 and locks together with grommets and one knob. You turn it and it's tight and not going to make any noise on you.
So wild,
then
now, let me ask you this. I hate to cut you off, but I got to know, because I've been big in climbers for years. Is it comparable hunting out of that climber to a hang-on because of how, I guess, slimmed down it is?
I mean, in transport and that sense, yeah, for sure. In tree selection, no. You still need the right tree. So if I'm hiking 2 miles into my mountain, which is not uncommon, I'm taking the 0.5 because I know no matter what I approach, I'm good. But it's about as light as you can get in a full setup and as compact as you can get with anything. So it's an awesome setup, especially if you guys down south with, I know a lot of guys boast about their nice straight trees down south. So
we do have,
it's great for that. And then, but for this year, it's super exciting bringing back the cast line. So this is what Andre was able to, kind of start the whole brand with. The cast line, which is a little heavier, but still great portable setups. This one being the Alpha, and then the Assault will be slightly smaller. But what you're going to get out of this is a lot of the same features. Like now they have the shelf lock feature, so you can hang your backpack and sit it here and throw one strap around.
Oh, wow. And
the new sticks are not quite the same as the custom geared DeQuisto series sticks, but they fold flat and interlock together and strap to the stand nice. But you're getting all this at, like, this stand is $300, whereas your 1.0 is like $650 now, thanks to prices these days. But it's for guys that are looking to start out with a new hang and hunt system. They can choose this one, and it's still all made in USA. That's something that Lone Wolf has been proud of for 41 years. Everything's got a lifetime transferable warranty, meaning if I sold you a stand, they're going to take care of it. So wow. It's the best of the best, and something to be proud of. They're just great quality products.
Dude, that I gotta be honest, man. Like the Lone Wolf, I guess, history, just everything about it has always been so freaking cool to me. You know, like,
I mean, if you look,
and Andre's a cool dude too. Like Andre, he I do have a little bit of beef with him on one thing he said on the Hunter podcast when they were talking about coming to Georgia. And he's like, why would I want to go to Georgia? I don't want to go down there to look at trees. And I'm like, come on, Andre. I'm like, really, man? Like,
So
we got
his
some
thing
big
is,
deer.
some guys were telling him, hey, well, why don't you put it to the test and hunt some public, see what you can do in public. He said, if you give me a 200, I'll go hunt it,
Yeah.
but he's going to hunt where he is, this is what he lives for, is chasing the 200s.
Yeah.
So, and he's got them. So he's going to stay where he can hunt them.
Dude, he made me question my own, I guess, standards when he was talking to Cody and was like, look, I've killed enough 180s. I don't need to kill anymore. I want to kill the world record typical. And I'm like, if anyone's gonna do it, it's gonna be you. I'm like, dude, I respect that so much. Cause I mean, we all go into season wanting like a specific goal to be met, whether it's we get 10 does down here. If someone wants to kill 10 does, they can kill 10 does. If they want to kill $2, they can kill $2. You want to pull up and young, you can do that. You want to kill a Boone and Crockett, good luck, but you could try. I mean,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like Georgia deer don't, I mean, some get that big, but I just respect the hell out of them because, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Andre is for sure one of the OGs, right? Like I think, brought the mobile side of things really to the forefront. And just what they've done and what you guys have done with Lone Wolf is insane. I mean, I just have to say that because it's obviously geared towards what hunters want and what's going to benefit people to I guess be able to get where they need to get,
They definitely listen to their customer base, and tweak products to cater to what they want. But nobody's gonna, a lot of these companies, and I'm not gonna say anything bad about anybody, but a lot of these companies are not run by people doing this. They're run by businessmen. Lone Wolf, if it's not the only one, it's one of the only ones that is truly run by people that have a passion for doing exactly this. So these products are exactly what Andre and Cody use and exactly what they want. And it's hard to find anything in any niche like that. So yeah, you're going to get the best thing, the best tool for the job. And we make upgrades every year, little tweaks here and there, to do that. So it's been an awesome ride.
Explain to me if you can how, because like the Hang On I've got has cables. How does that whole no cable thing work? Like, how is it?
So the platform isn't as long as the 0.5's platform. It's a little shorter, a little wider. And then it has a barrel nut that kind of moves back and forth like a regular saddle platform. Mm-hmm. So it'll pivot and rest on that barrel nut. And this is like a, case hardened grade 12 barrel nut. But you're only going to get so much leverage out from the tree. And it's a beefier. The reason it's the same weight as the 0.5 is it's got a beefier post. It's a beefier platform to hold that weight. But yeah, it's a wild, if I got it strapped to my table, or I'd pull it off and show you. But I mean, go through the Lone Wolf Instagram page, go through the tech tips. I break them all down and kind of show all the specs. And I got to get off my ass and start putting some of the stuff on YouTube for everybody. But it'll be a bunch of tech tips coming down the pipeline here soon too.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch those so I don't fall out of a tree stand or fall out of a tree, really.
Yeah, I recommend them. I've had a lot of good feedback on them. And that's also customer driven. If they got questions on something, I'll bank it and make that, here's what I do to solve that problem.
So like for the setup process, I've seen like my stand has like I think it's called, I don't want to say it's called a push button, but it's got that little button on the bracket, and then it's got the one strap loop around it, and then you just throw it back around and then you tighten it. Is that how Lone Wolf's ones work too?
Yep. So Andre actually was the first to bring a Versa button to market back 35 years ago or something. Versa straps and Versa buttons was one of Andre's ideas that came to market and really changed the way everything has worked ever since.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I've seen some, dude, like I have buddies that have hang-ons, and the ones that use sticks, their sticks have like the bar and it's got that one little hole, and then you hook a hook into it, and then you have to go around the tree and hook the other hook. And like, I know it works, but I'm like, how can you climb a tree that way?
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
I'm just
No,
small. I don't know, but
there's nothing faster than the versus strap, in my opinion.
gotcha. Well,
That setup.
the sticks I have it. So I mean I'm sure it's gonna be simple enough to learn how to
Yep.
use and all of that. But gosh, dude, I know there was some other stuff about Lone Wolf I wanted to ask, but am I forgetting anything?
No, I mean, in terms of products, we pretty much got it. We got on our YouTube channel is also where all the Whitetail Addictions episodes are aired. I got a couple, this guy and that with the bear kill. Let's see, and then I got a buck from Illinois that made the cut as well. So if you want to watch any of my videos, they're on the Lone Wolf Custom Gear YouTube channel under the Whitetail Addictions episodes. And there's a whole staff full of absolute killers that have been doing it for a long time with a lot bigger bucks than me. Also on that channel. So it's a great resource for not only content but good learning as well.
Yeah, I do have to say the Whitetail Addictions. I've got like three shows throughout deer season that I'll watch if I'm in a slump or something that get me kind of back on really wanting to put in the effort. And that's Whitetail Addictions, Seek One, and then what I'm drawing a blank now. What's that? Midwest Whitetail. Those three are the ones that I'm like, dude, I think it's Andre when he talks.
Yeah.
Because like I'm from the Midwest. I moved here when I was a kid. And aren't they out of like Michigan or
Iowa?
Wisconsin? Iowa. Okay.
Iowa.
Well, he's got that Midwestern accent.
They are from Wisconsin.
Okay, got it. So it feels like home. Feels like I'm hearing my Uncle Carl tell me how to understand. So there's something about that, dude, that the videos that y'all put out are fantastic. So
Whitetail Addictions was the very first of its kind, like a blue collar, guys with an addiction.
Yeah.
That during deer season, what they're going to do is kill a big deer, and then go back to work after they can focus on it. And it's all self-filmed by blue collar dudes like myself. So that's really cool. The other productions you name, they do great content as well, but there's really, it's hard to replicate that grit that, it's guys just like you and me.
Yeah.
It's been an awesome team to be a part of. Yeah.
Yeah. It's more personal, relatable. And I've said it before, dude, like I grew up watching, like Bucks of Tecumate. That was a big one when I was a kid. And Realtree road trips, obviously love the Bone Collector guys, but like there's something about a hunting TV show where, and I've made the joke before, where it's like you hear some dudes probably from Texas and he's like, today we're out here at the Tecumate Ranch and we've got Johnny 2x4 over here and he's going to go kill this 180-inch buck. And I'm just like, yeah, I can't relate to that. And then you got Andre come on and he's just a regular dude, and you're like, oh, I know like 20 people like this guy, so it's, I don't know. It's just enjoyable. I mean, whatever. I feel like the Lone Wolf family is so relatable that's why people gravitate towards it, and then the products are pretty good too. I do want to know, are you guys still making those broadheads?
Yeah. These are gnarly, man. So I've killed like they're thick. That's the deal. The blades, the ferrules are so thick that they just open that deer up. This one here, I think this one either killed my buck or my bear, but it still looks okay. I actually might just sharpen that. I have killed 16 deer with them in the past 3 years, and only one deer went beyond 50 yards. And I'm not a record shot or anything. I'm just a bow hunter. The only deer that went beyond 50 yards, I actually shot him in the butt. It was a horrible shot. I pulled it and he moved at the same time. It was a longer shot than I like. And he went 100, 120 maybe. So no, I've had incredible success with them. They're aluminum. so they're totally against the normal.
Yeah.
And that's why they get the super thick, blades, which is what it's all about. Flat stone, you can hone it on the flat stone because of the angles. You're not going to shave your knuckles with them, but the point gets really sharp, and I have not had penetration issues at all. The Illinois buck was 250-pound deer, and I shot through both shoulders.
Jeez.
They have been great broadheads.
What arrow setup are you running? Like weight and all of that?
I don't know. Pope builds all my arrows. This one here, I want to say was like got these Toby Keith wraps. This is before he passed away.
Oh, nice, dude.
just American, and killed a buck and a bear with these, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, I want to say it was like 450, and then last year was 475 or so. Yeah, I never do anything too crazy in terms of weight.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I was asking, because like I went down the Ranch Ferry rabbit hole, and then I came back out of it. And now I think my current setup is like 467 or something like that. And that seems, 400 to 500 seems to be like the sweet spot I've seen for the majority of people. So I figured it had to be something like that.
Like Pope said, I got a 30-inch draw, and I'm shooting right now. My RX8 is 80 pounds, so I have no issues blowing through something. Yeah, with my trad bow, which is a 60 pound Kodiak Magnum, that I do got 200 grains up front. So I'm sure this is 6 something. I don't know, but like I said, man, I don't go in the weeds on that. If I can shoot something consistently and it shoots well, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
If it hits where I'm aiming, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing any crazy tests, man.
Yeah.
It's gonna kill a deer.
T-Bone says that confidence kills, or accuracy kills, but to be confident. But yeah, dude, that's, man, okay. All right. Before we wrap this up, I have to ask you this. What's it like working within, I guess, I don't know, but basically working with Andre and Cody, because those two together crack me up. I mean, it's got to be a good time.
So sometimes they use me to talk to each other. They don't always talk to each other. They'll tell me something. I'll tell Cody to do this. Oh, okay. Hey, if you talk to Dad, tell him this. So it's a funny dynamic. They're two alphas. So you're not always going to see them together. But they're both awesome dudes to work with. And the networking and all that has happened with me within that group has been phenomenal. It's been a real blessing in my life, having joined up with them. So no, it's been awesome, and being able to be part of new products and the whole behind the scenes and content and whatever. It's been an awesome ride that I don't deserve, and really truly was a blessing.
I love it, man. That's a good way to wrap this up. So, all right, before we do that though, tell everyone where they can find you. Give me a shameless plug for you, Lone Wolf, whatever else you got going on.
Facebook, I typically keep to my family stuff, but Mobile Hunters United is a Facebook group that we started in 2019. It's grown to 36,000 plus people, 40,000 people. A lot of diehard bow hunters in there. And it's a good group. You'll catch me. I'm one of the admins, so easy to reach there. And then on my Instagram is at the Stache Squatch, STACHE Squatch.
I love that name.
And I got some sweet stickers for that too. You'll check them out, but it's and then on YouTube, I don't do really much on my own YouTube, but the Lone Wolf Custom Gear channel, like I said, you can find hunts from myself and the rest of the guys at Whitetail Addictions and other odds and ends from me on there. Be on the lookout for those tech tip videos coming up soon, help you kind of solve some of the little issues you may have.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on, sir. This was a really fun episode, and I'm definitely going to be watching those videos because I'm telling you, I've got the little what's it called? The tree. I should know what it is. Lineman's strap. I've got the lineman's rope that I'm gonna have. Like, I'm making sure that I don't fall. I mean, going, if I do end up being able to go up to like 12-foot max, I'm not really gonna probably need it much. Or at least I won't be as scared to do it.
Yeah, the lineman's belt makes it easy. So
Yeah.
I will say that's an easy thing to carry with you and make it 10 times easier to do.
Gotcha. Cool, man. Well, I appreciate it, buddy.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Yes.